rivals, welcome to Back's Attacks. Today I've got an update on the Ruyi Jingu Bang event, as well as some tips on using the ancients in this event. First we'll take a look at Huojin, who's very different from the other two, and take some practice to getting used to. He has two 5-mana spells, the first one Purifying Flames, and the second one Cauterize, and the sequence in which you use these two, and whether or not you use them on your troops or the defenses, plays a large role in the strategy for this ancient, and you can use them in different ways. The interaction between the spells comes from the Cauterize, which will affect both friendly and enemy troops, dispelling of common debuffs, and of the Purifying Flames. On the friendly troops, it will also give a nice bonus here. Okay, so here's an example, and I got to give a shout out to Tylo, who showed this on a recent video, and who does it at a very high level. So I put the link down to that in the description. You definitely want to check that out. And this is an example where the focus is on using the Cauterize as a debuff after your troops get hit by the spell tower, and then follow that up with the spell 1, the Purifying Flames, afterwards in order to take a hit, but to have 4% increase of health per second for a good time period after that. So what you want to do with this is to get any free mana on the outside, and to sweep the dragon to initially distract those spell towers. Now in this case, there's extra mana on both sides, so I'm going to use Viscaria, get some damage in there, as well as get some mana at the start. And I'm getting ready to drop the troops in. We'll put them kind of close to each other, get that distracting sweep in, and we use the Purifying Flames to let them take an initial hit when they have no damage, and they'll have that regeneration for a nice time period. Now we're going to watch very closely here to see when they get hit by the spell tower. So I'm holding on the spell to kind of go into slow-mo here, and as soon as the troops are hit by a debuff, whether that's Cursed or Ice or Insanity, you're then going to eliminate that debuff. If the Purifying Flames is still active, you'll get a nice damage increase as well. And I'm debuffing the Insanity there. And I'm missing horribly with the third spell, leaving a few life left. But we're in good shape here anyway. And there goes the Stronghold. The third spell, if you can get it down early to get a plus 10% each time you use it for a lifesteal, is very handy, but it's also very mana intensive. So, except for cleanup, the focus is typically on the first two spells. So that's an example where the focus is using the Cauterize to debuff your own troops that have been hit by spell towers, and use the Purifying Flames to get them a regeneration. This example is going to use the exact opposite sequence, but where the spells are both cast on the defenses. Now in this one, really, I was just circling the base trying to get the gold, and I noticed I had a good mana build up from that. So we cast spell 1, spell 2. Build up mana to get 10 points, spell 1, spell 2. And repeat that again. Now I've already knocked out 60% of the health from the troops, plus with the damage from the troops and a dragon sweep, the base is just about wiped out. Fly Viscaria to finish off here. There's even some troops alive, one more pair, spell 1, 2, and that base is taken out. So on this here, the sequence is spell 1, the Purify Flames, immediately followed by the Cauterize, in order to knock down the defenses by 20%. Without really harming your own troops in the process. So that's another effective way to use Wajen. Alright, let's switch over to an ancient that is probably more commonly used, and that's Dodji. And this one focuses on the second spell, although I like the first one. That 25% damage bonus and the range of a Warden on the Vassal is really very nice. But the ability to have the troops not get hit or not get targeted by the enemy is very powerful. The third spell, not too fond of. It's all about number 2 on this one. So what I'd like to do with Dodji is to come away from the bulk of the spell towers to give some time to build up the ability to get the 10 manas. If you can get a wave of troops coming in, they can usually get the new mana to sustain that. moving forward, especially in an open base like this. There's no walls to have to deal with. Now in this event, I'm using Battle Boost to get bonus points, and in addition just get a little bit of extra healing here. Mana Hunters are also good to use with Dodji. Alright, so just looking around for free mana. There's not a ton, so we're just going to drop the troops in. We're going to need to distract that Insanity Tower with the dragon, and that was done just in time. I like to use a vassal up front. They can take damage for a little while before they have to get shielded, and behind a mostly melee mix or the Mana Hunters, the vassal is going to hang back. He's going to give plus 25% bonus, and I can't tell you the number of times he has lasted the whole battle and done some nice damage. Alright, so you notice here we're just using that shroud repeatedly, and the key thing here is you can see how you get kind of green crosses as the spell is about to run out, and right after that, if you're hovering over with the spell, you'll see the kind of orange pluses at their feet saying that can be recast again. If you recast the spell right then, it won't give the spell towers enough time to fire, and that's crucial. If you just wait until a little bit later, they will get a fire in, and if they hit you with a freeze or something, because the spell duration is only 4.5 seconds, you could be in real trouble. So the timing of that second spell is really critical if you're trying to avoid damage, especially if you're running into spell towers. Alright, now here's an example against a higher base, a level 16. Rob Max of Soulfire is showing us how to do that. And he spread the troops out in order to get some extra mana, had one kind of side of troops that were going to do the main damage, uses the Shroud to come in there and knock out the defenses, and is going to rely on Malice as the dragon to get the final kill here. The difficulty is the inability to handle the spell towers and the short duration. But if you're smart about how you use it, you can even take out tough bases with Dodji. So good job, Rob Max, on that one. Great example for us. This event is all about Wukong, so let's talk about him for a moment. The Life Peach was awarded at 45,000. That wasn't the only gift I got. I want to thank George from Mortality Elite for giving me, as well as the rest of the Kingdom members, a bonus mini pack of Battlestones. Thank you so much, George. Not only a great player, but a very generous individual. Alright, so let's take a quick look at the leaderboard. China Elite has pulled ahead of the Smashers, who are leading most of the time there. Mortality War has got a good lead in 5th place over 6th. Going down to 20, you have a couple of teams from China that are battling it out. Fury United right behind that. Rival Elite and Nakama Dragons are battling out for the 40th spot. And around 75, we've got a battle going on there around the 100,000 mark, with just 18 hours left in the event. So Mortality Elite, Mortality, and Mortality Anzacs are all in the top 120 and hoping to stay that way. The top 120 gets the legendary Ascension material, the Ruyi Jingu Bang staff, and that helps Wukong. In addition, there's a mithril there, and that goes for the top 200 kingdoms, so good luck for everyone who's fighting it out, whether it's for 120, for 200, for the ladder prizes, which are good as well. And here's that Peach, and got one earlier, so this one will take Wukong from rare to epic. He had to be taken from superior to, up to rare earlier. Now, if you don't have Wukong or Dodji, this is how a good way to get it. For 99 gems is a chest, as a special with a pretty decent odds of getting one of those two ancients in there. And if you don't get them, you still get either Primus or a legendary boost. So definitely check that out if you're missing one of these two ancients. There's just the stats of Epic Wukong, so you can take a look at those. Currently have him around level 38, and we're going to take him up to 42, I think, in order to get an increase not only on the starting mana, but on the Life Peach and the first spell as well. That first spell, Strength and Dexterity, is interesting if you focus on long-range troops, especially the Wardens. Alright, so let's take a look at Wukong in battle. And I'm going to go Stronghold 14 against 14. First, I'm going to show you how not to do it. See how all those spell towers are up front, especially there's a double conduit freeze tower, and that can wreak havoc with Wukong. That second spell will prevent the troops from dying, but it won't prevent them from losing hit points, and it won't save them from any of these debuffs like the curse tower or the freeze tower. And so you might think, well, there's a lot of mana down there. We'll just use that second spell to get us through the towers. We'll use that first spell to get a little extra punch going in there, and they're just stopped dead in their tracks, and they're prevented from death here for a little while. But as soon as we have not enough mana to cast it again, they're going to be history. Alright, so that is just an example of how not to use Wukong. And let's take a look at a better use of what you should do. Now, if you're going to focus on that second spell, you really need to avoid the first one. It looks tempting, and at the beginning you think, well, they don't need to prevent death, so we may as well start off with a different spell, and you're going to wish you had that extra 5 mana later. Alright, so here's an example where the spell towers are further in. They're not going to hammer the troops right away. We're going to get a Mana Hunter as our boost. It is probably a good idea to use 2 Mana Hunters in here, and since you're not getting any healing, I like taking some Paladins, but you can also use all birds if you like. Alright, so we're laying down the troops. We're going to distract with the dragon. That's key for using Ancients which don't have the ability to control the spell towers. Let them take some damage before that first cast. It's just going to prevent the death there. And the key thing with Wukong's second spell as opposed to Dodji's is that you can recast it immediately on top of each other. You don't have to wait for it to expire. Now, because they're losing all this health but prevented from death, sometimes they can be at 0 or near 0 hit points, so if they didn't have that feature, the spell would be nearly useless. But because they do, you pretty much want to be just kind of counting to between 6 and 7 and dropping that second spell again before the spell wears out. Having enough mana to do that is also important, so it's great on open bases. Now, I asked in Mortal Lead if anyone had an example of killing a Stronghold 16 that was stronger, and Eli stepped up to the challenge. He's also just crushing it on points within our kingdom, so we're all big fans of Eli. And just boom, he just drops those Mana Hunters very quickly, distracts with the dragon, again that's key, and that gives enough mana to cast those about 2 times. He's got max level birds, that's very helpful, and they're just going to get the job done on the Stronghold there. Alright, there we go. So Wukong can be useful even against very strong bases if you use good strategy. So thanks Eli much for sharing that one, appreciate it. And we'll wrap it up there with some tips on the key ancients used for the Wukong event. And let me know which ancient you're using and which one you like, and if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.